One of the things that your work, the whistleblowing that you did, is on mass, the kind of mass surveillance that was happening, was being done by governments. In the last few years of the reports of Reporters Without Borders on their Press Freedom Index, one of the biggest changes that they put in was disinformation. Disinformation coming in from the new gatekeepers, because it's clear from your actions that you respected journalism. You went to journalists to go through the information that you had. But now journalists are no longer the gatekeepers. Technology platforms are, social media platforms are, and the role of the gatekeeper has changed. That's brought in this disinformation. Uh, what role do you see technology and social media platforms playing now?
Yeah, this is a point of tremendous controversy because some people like to see journalists and institutions of journalism as the gatekeepers, right? But I think there's more complexity to it than that. When we talk about misinformation and social media, technology platforms, what they have done is democratize the means of publication, the means of transmission. Now anybody can put anything out there. What journalism does, I think, best, organized journalism rather, is to be able to commit resources, human, financial, everything, into researching, studying the facts, ultimately looking at conflicting claims and trying to determine what is true or more likely to be true based on the evidence that's available to us. And then making hard calls when there are groups at cross purposes. For example, the government says the public should not know that there's a global system of mass surveillance that's violating all of their rights. Because they go, look, it may give us a useful means of investigation. The more secret it is, the more effective it is. But on the other side, that is a violation of every individual's rights and our collective rights. And who should make the call as to whether the public should or should not know this? It could have been me. It could have been anyone who knew this information. I could have just put it up in a tweet. But I felt that, I had strong political opinions. I gathered the evidence. But I think journalism and journalists are intentionally designed, at least in the US system with our First Amendment protections, they are entrusted to challenge the government in an institutional way. That's why we call them the Fourth Estate. The government traditionally has a monopoly on many facts because they use classification powers and things like that to say, we might be doing it, but we won't tell you one way or another, and you can't do anything about it. So what do? We investigate, and then we gather the facts, and then somebody somewhere has to look at this and go, okay, it is true. What parts of it can be published without creating extraordinary risks, right? And this was what I tried to do in my work with journalists, was to maximize the public benefit while minimizing or mitigating the theoretical risks of mitigating the risks of publishing meaningful information in a free and open society that the government does not want to be published. The government says, these things shouldn't be published because it'll get people hurt, because the atmosphere will catch on fire, because the oceans will boil off. And we have to look at those things and go, well, is that actually happening? Will it happen? Will it not happen? How credible are these claims? What are they willing to show evidence for? And this is the process that was followed in every case. However, that's not to say that this is correct or the only method, the only way of doing it. It's the one that I felt was the best place to mitigate even theoretical risks. However, when we go into this new free-for-all of technical platforms, right, people are putting things out there. there can be true and useful information that no one else is willing to put out. Maybe there are commercial interests. In the United States, there's a lot of commercial influence in journalism, and that's the same in many other countries. Somebody puts it out and it's true. Well, now we have a new problem. We have access to more information than we've ever had before, but as you say, how do we know what of this information is true, is correct, is reliable? Who tests that? And that is, I think, what we're really struggling with. The social media companies, the technology companies, are increasingly trying to play a role there. They're going, well, we'll hire people and they'll say, this is reliable or this is fake news. And, in some ways, maybe that can be useful, but I think that's actually the wrong approach. Because these institutions already have so much power over our lives. They have so much information about us, about our interests, about our connections, about our reading habits. And if we start putting them in the position where they go, well, this protest can't be promoted, or this speech is too extreme for the platform. There are many cases where that could be good and beneficial for society, but I can imagine a whole lot more in a whole lot of countries where that actually does damage to democracy and to the progress of human rights. So it is very much a difficult question.